Hey folks, welcome again to Advent of Code in F#, and we're at day 4. The puzzle has unlocked for a while now. I took my time to get my Sunday breakfast. So yeah, let's just dive right into it and let's see what day 4 has to offer for us. Day 4 camp cleanup. Space needs to be cleared before the last supplies can be unloaded from the ships, and so several elves have been assigned the job of cleaning up sections of the camp. Every section has a unique ID number, and each elf is assigned a range of section IDs. Okay, and as some elves compare their assignments with each other, they have noticed that many of the assignments overlap. Okay, to try to quickly find overlaps and reduce duplicated effort, the elves pair up and make a big list of the assignments for each pair, which is our input. For example, consider the following list of section assignment pairs. And then we see some numbers. Let's see what this means. So for the first few pairs, this list means within the first pair of elves, so that's going to be the first line, first elf was assigned 2 to 4, and that is an inclusive range. Okay, cool. And the second elf was assigned 6 to 8. That makes sense. That makes sense. The example list uses single-digit section IDs to make it easier to draw. Our actual list might contain larger numbers. Good to know. And that's a visualization of the ranges per pair. Sure, makes sense. Some of the pairs have noticed that one of their assignments fully contains the other. For example, 2 to 8 fully contains 3 to 7, yeah, makes sense. And the range of a single thing, 6 to 6, is fully contained by 4 to 6, makes sense. In pairs where this happens, one elf in the pair would be exclusively cleaning sections the partner will already be cleaning. So those are the biggest duplicate effort things, yeah, sure. And that's all we have to do for part 1. Okay, so we need to figure out for every line, for every pair, whether one subsumes the other or fully contains the other. Cool, seems doable. Let's take a look at the actual input I have gotten. I see numbers ranging from 0 to 100. Looks like it. Not that important, but okay. Let's drop my input somewhere. And let's take a look at how we're going to tackle this problem. No, maybe let's quickly grab the example as well. So we can play around with a smaller problem first. There we go. First things first, what do I always do when things get less than trivial? I start parsing. So what is this? Every line is 2 ranges, and every range is inclusive. And we will need to figure out whether one or the other contains the other one in full. Do we have a data structure to make that easy? It's not going to be necessary. We can just use something to represent a range. Let's go with tuples. So let's write a parser. Parse pair, or parse line. Let's call it parse line. Line is a string. If we give it the type, we get some auto-completion help for splitting and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna write a very basic let me grab an example line so we can test our stuff quickly. Oh, forgot to provide quotes. There we go. So line, this is our first line. Let's see if we can split this. Sorry, the type string array is not compatible with type list. Oh, split returns an array, of course. There we go, that splits nicely. And then we can split again. I'm running out of single letter variable names. From 1 to 1, let's call it that. Split, oh yeah, it's an array again. Where's my pipe operator? There we go. So now we split on the hyphen. And we do the same for the second range, which is B. Let's call those A and B's first and second with a somewhat cryptic FNS variable names. There we go. I think we parsed out everything. If we now just return, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to return a tuple of tuples. Good enough. I think this would work. What's not working? Oh yeah, I'm putting commas here, but a comma is a tuple, a semicolon is a array element delimiter thing. But this should work. Let's see if it work on the example line. 2, 4, 6, 8, and those are strings. I would prefer it if they were numbers. Yeah, sure. So let's parse those things to an integer while we're at it. There we go. Good enough. Oh. Oh, everything is fine. Everything is fine. So now we can parse. Now we need to figure out, what do we need to figure out? Subsumption, or whether one range fully contains the other. That's all we need to do. We just need to count the lines or the pairs where this happens. Okay. That's easy-ish. I'm just going to write a new function to do that. And I've been using the word subsume. I think subsumption means fully containing something else. Let's grab a thesaurus or a dictionary. Include in something else. Most of these phenomena can be subsumed under. That sounds accurate enough. Let's go with subsumption. But we need to look in both directions, right? So it's probably not the best word, but okay. So do one of these ranges fully contain the other? That's what I'm trying to decide in this subsumes function. When does something fully subsume something else? Do I have like something to draw here? I have a doodle Miro, good enough. There's still something from work. Had an interesting discussion regarding story points and capacity planning, but let's get rid of that. So we have one range going from somewhere to somewhere, and we have another range going from somewhere to somewhere. How do we figure out subsumption given those 4 points? Let's take one of them at a time, and let's take a look at whether the other points, the other extremes of the range, fall within it. That's all we have to do, right? And then we can flip the roles and try it again. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna further destructure. I don't know. I don't like the F and the 2. Let's call it A and B. No, let's call it beginning and end. B and E. There we go. Beginning and end. Beginning and end. Beginning. I don't know why I stopped using the rename refactoring here. But there we go. Sorry. Let's see if that still works. Yeah, sure. So we take the first one and we check whether the other 2 are within it. So B2 should fall within. Beginning and end, are they like sorted all the time, or are they sometimes in reverse order? This appears to be increasing, right? There's always goes up, numbers go up, numbers go up, numbers go up. Okay. So we can, yeah, we can use that. So B2, one of the points has to be in the range, something like this, and the other point has to be in the range as well. I'm not even gonna extract anything. I'm just going to write the Boolean or the comparison logic in full. So we're saying B2 should... Is there a between operator? No, there's not a between operator in F# or in .NET. So B2 should be between the boundaries of the first range, and the E2 should be the same. Yes, or... And then we flip roles. Yeah, and then we flip roles. I'm not even going to extract a function for that. Let's go. So I'm going to flip B1 and B2. So now we're looking at the second range and we're seeing whether the first... Am I doing it correctly? Oh, I'm confusing myself. That's not good. Stop. Let's try that again. So then we look whether B1 falls within the second range and E1 falls within the second range. Yes, if there's a bug in this code, it's somewhere in here. That's a mental note that we have to clean this up if things appear not to work, but okay. I think we have everything in place then. Example. Should be able to parse the example in full, yes, and then we should be able to filter out the ones where we have a subsumption or where we have a fully contains the other situation, and we have 2. Is that correct? Wow, this is a bright screen, sorry. There are 2 such pairs. That appears to be correct. I'm a bit hesitant. I'm not just sure whether or not this code will work for our full input, but let's take a look. What's the lengthing? This is the lengthing. We have a lot of pairs where we have overlap, but it's correct. So let's not worry about improving this beast of a Boolean comparison. There we go. I'm trying to save my file without duplicating lines on auto format. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at part 2 next. That's a short part 2. Let's see. It seems like there is still quite a bit of duplicate work planned. Instead, the elves would like to know the number of pairs that overlap at all. Okay, so no subsumption. Is that easier? Is it harder? I mean, I'm not sure. Okay, but we need to detect overlap. Yes, okay, so that's overlapping. We have 4 in the example. And overlapping is inclusive, yeah, so if we hit at the end of our ranges, that's an overlap. That makes sense. We don't need to count the overlap lengths. No, we just need to detect overlap. Okay, cool. Back to the drawing board, and I closed my drawing board. Let's see if I can grab it again. When do we have overlap? We can do it with the 4 data points. Yes, we can. For subsumption, both points of the other range have to fall within our range. For overlap, I think we just need 1 hit. So it's ORing instead of ANDing. Is that correct? So let's write a new function. And can that happen in both directions? If one overlaps the other, does the other overlap one? I think so. Yes, overlap is mutual. So I think we can get rid of... Ooh, is that true? Let's try it. I think we can get rid of the symmetric comparison. So I think if B2 falls within the range. Is that... I'm having a hard time convincing myself. Let's give it a try. So B1 falls within the range, or E2, or sorry, B2 falls within the range of the first, or E2 falls within the range. So yeah, this should, if this transforms into an OR, I think we're done. If all my assumptions about how overlap is a symmetrical work. So should this end up with a 4 if we try it on the example? Let's take a look. It ends up with a 4, so I'm not gonna worry. If I get a wrong answer, we'll start thinking some more, but if this is correct, it was a nice and short and pretty fun puzzle. Ah, it's too low. Okay, so we're doing something wrong. Then it's time to start really thinking about it. I'm gonna make a mental or a physical note to try to get something. What am I doing wrong here? I had a lot of assumptions. I had assumptions that it's symmetrical. Yeah, maybe that's the important one to see. Let's put drawing and code together. When the two ranges overlap. Let's draw some examples to get some things out here. An overlap can happen like this. An overlap can happen like this. An overlap can happen like this. Ah, is this symmetrical? No. I think we're missing these kinds of cases here. If the first range is the small range, those two other, the other range, the two endings or the extreme values do not fall within. So yes, we need to take a look at in both directions. That's a thinking bug right there. So let's flip it. I'm just gonna flip 1s and 2s. I think that's correct. This is horrible. I should not be doing this at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's at least the higher number, so we're going in the right direction. Probably. Okay, that was the problem. It was not symmetrical, which makes sense. So yeah, maybe think a little bit harder in the future. But I'm happy. Small little puzzle. Let's quickly go over the code we wrote for today. Not a lot of code. Half the code is parsing. So yeah, we parsed not using regular expressions, but just splitting strings on tokens, commas and hyphens. But that works like a charm. And then actually the only hard part was the thing that I fumbled, writing subsume or overlap logic. If this was production code I was getting paid to write, I would not leave it at this. I would maybe clean it up a bit, maybe name it, maybe make it a bit more explicit what we're doing here. But I feel more like playing video games right now, so maybe I'll do it in the afternoon. I got my stars. I am a happy camper, and I wish you a very no, just have fun today, and I'll see you tomorrow for another Advent of Code. Bye bye.